Hey, it's Paul. Welcome back to B&B Talk. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me. A lot to cover, as usual, so I'm going to jump right into it. First, we see Wyatt telling Ivy that the reviews for California Freedom are in and that they're great. They're going to need a lot more inventory, but Ivy's not really listening. She's still caught up, obviously, on what's going on with Steffi and Allie. She can't believe that Allie's dead and Steffi's the reason why. And then we see Thomas, Ridge, and Caroline, and they're talking about the fact that Steffi seems really withdrawn, and Thomas says it's almost as if she feels responsible for it, and Thomas thinks that now Steffi's the one paying the price for it. He actually offers to cover for her, and Ridge quickly shuts him down. He's not interested in shuffling her out and shuffling Thomas in. And then we see Thomas actually make a dig about Ridge being too old for Caroline, and I mean, it seems like light banter, but we know something's brewing with that, and they go back and forth with it. And then Caroline wants to know if it bothers him after Thomas leaves, if it bothers Ridge, what Thomas is saying about his age, and Ridge says, don't be ridiculous. But we know there's that rivalry there, and it bothers both of them. So, well, I'm sure there's a lot more to come on that. Then after that, we see Quinn, and she asks Ivy to go and talk to Liam about expanding the line because they need to keep up with the stock, but Ivy's really out of it. And then eventually Thorne shows up and he wants to talk about Allie, and Ivy and Wyatt get a little nervous once he starts doing this. Thorne starts venting about Ridge and how he went off at the memorial, and Ivy jumps in and says, yeah, he was out of line for doing that, but he really wants to know how his daughter came to slip and why she's dead. He wants answers, and they're not going to be the ones to give it to him, at least not right now. Thorne says he needs some closure, and eventually Quinn takes him out for some fresh air just because he's getting worked up. Ivy turns to Wyatt and she asks how can she stay silent when she knows that Steffi killed Allie, and obviously it makes Wyatt really nervous. Then we see Liam, and he asks Steffi to sort of, for her own therapy, to retell him what happened, and Allie, with Allie on the side of the road, and Steffi gets into it, but she, leaves out obviously the part about her hitting Allie with the tire iron. She gives him the version that she gave the police, and you can tell it's really hard for her to get this out. And then we go back to Ridge, and Ridge he's talking to Steffi, and he says, the press are going to have a lot of questions for you, and I'll try to keep them away from you, but you got to do me a favor and stay away from them. And right at that point, Thorne walks in, and he wants to know, who protected his daughter and why she's dead. So this is really tough, and Steffi looks really, really nervous. And then we see Ivy, and she says that Thorne needs to know. She's telling Wyatt, Thorne needs to know, and Allie deserves justice. And Wyatt is trying to calm her down, and he says that he thinks Allie, might have provoked this, and Ivy thinks she should have been able to bring her back. She said she's always been able to bring her back before, but she didn't get a chance to get to her. And then Wyatt pretty much commends her on how she stood up for Allie, but Ivy's getting really worked up, and Wyatt does the only thing he can do. He starts making out with her. So, not to make light of it, but you kind of saw this coming, and you know that they're going to end up together, but this is the beginning of it. So let's mark our calendars. This is the beginning of Yvy. That's at least what I'm hearing. And then the last thing we see is Ridge trying to console his brother, but he knows that Thorne is really bent out of shape, and Thorne says he's pissed at Ridge because he trashed Allie instead of honoring her memory. And Thorne, and Ridge tries to point out to him that no, he was trying to point out that steps were missed and that she was a lot more ill than people thought, but Thorne's not hearing it, and he asks Steffi point blank to tell him what happened to his daughter, and Steffi tells him the same version that she's been telling, and Thorne says he doesn't believe her, and he says, tell me what happened to my daughter. And that's where we leave things off. Things are really tense, and you just have to wonder how long the secret about the tire iron is going to stay a secret. Knowing the pace of this show, I don't think it's going to last too long. But anyways, that's all we have for this episode. I want to thank you all for checking out B&B Talk. It's Paul. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Have a great day.